is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That, of course, was the Mighty Night Demon. The name of that tune was Dawn Rider from the release Darkness Remains. And on the line right now is the Dawn Rider himself, guy that never seems to sleep because he's always working. It is the one and only vocalist of Night Demon. It is Jarvis Leatherby. Jarvis, how are you, man?
I'm doing great and glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me back.
Sure, dude. Well, first and foremost, man, have you recovered from your Cleveland experience?
Yeah, I'm definitely back to reality. We've been on the road a lot this year. I think this is like our 9th week at home for the year, I believe. I don't know. I have to check that. But it's not, we come home, we're still working when we're not on the road. So we're mixing the Night Demon live album and the sort of Uncle Double live album. So we're doing that. We got a couple other B-sides we're recording and stuff. So we're just getting ready to go out again in a couple weeks. But Cleveland was great, man. I mean, obviously that's the second home for the band. But this last trip was great. It was good to be able to spend a week there and
sure.
hang out with everybody. And, because that's the thing. On tour, you're just in and out so quick.
Mm-hmm.
So no pun intended there. I mean, that's but coming into cities, you're there to play and then you have to move on. So it was nice to hang out with everybody. I got really sad when I left. Honestly, I did.
Sure.
It's just, I don't know, something about the people there and just the honesty and stuff. I mean, we really relate to, and it's just one of those things, like I said it before, like, it's like our Detroit Rock City,
Sure.
So it was very, very, very good for us.
No doubt, man. And it's I guess interesting or amazing, or pick a word really, but it is really cool that what started out as just one guy, being Bill Peters, being a fan and promoting the band, has literally gotten a whole major market to fall in love with your band, man. It's a really cool thing.
It's very cool, and it's surreal at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
Like in your career, you always know where things come from,
Sure.
Like a lot of people have this illusion that there's a lot of luck involved, and there's a lot of, it's like being in the right place at the right time. I mean, that is true, but you have to position yourself to be there. You have to go to those places because you never know what's going to happen,
Right.
or the typical, you have to know people and stuff. And it's like, you have to go out and meet people, you have to do that. I mean, we didn't know Bill Peters, but it was great. I mean, he was getting word about us from Germany. And then, he played it on his show, and the whole thing kind of snowballs from there.
Sure.
I mean, he's definitely been a great proponent of the band. And, I mean, I can look at many opportunities that the band has gotten directly from him, So, I mean, it's a good feeling, especially to be an honorary Cleveland band, I guess, because
sure.
You play in bands for years and you play in your own local scene, so you know what it's like to have your own local scene. And, you come from a certain place and you play with those bands and the bands grow together. And, some fall by the wayside, some break through to some other markets. But, to be able to come to Cleveland and kind of feel like a local band is something that I've never experienced outside of my hometown.
Sure. And I did not get to, unfortunately, my show is on the same time that you guys were here, so I didn't get to go to the Beachland to see it, but I was there on the Friday night. I was at the pre-show.
The Maple Grove.
Yeah. And it was, when you guys walked in, it really was kind of like the triumphant return of Cleveland's own. It reminded me a lot of when, like, Chimera came back to town that first time after signing with Roadrunner.
Those guys are back together right here, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So, but it really was amazing that, for so many, what I'll call scene kids, but, obviously we're all in our 40s and 50s at this point, I think.
Right.
But it's really amazing to see a band that's not from here and doesn't have 15 years of slugging it out in these clubs, but being respected like you guys have for no other reason than great music that everybody's relating to. And ultimately, look, it doesn't matter how much a guy like me or a guy like Bill Peters or whoever, support your band. If you sucked, no one would be at the shows, and that's just the way it is.
I agree with that. No, it's. I mean, there's other bands like I believe Overkill kind of has a connection with Cleveland.
Sure.
I mean, I'll say this: every time we've come through, we've been able to do something special. So that's momentum going. Whether that's when one time we took over the show. We did like a special show at the Agora that did really well, and like we make our IO merch and stuff like that. It's kind of like again our kid for me. So it's definitely it impresses me myself. And that's why I'm always trying to push new ideas and stuff. Like when we go there to do something special to kind of commemorate. We never just kind of do any throwaway shows, and we were, the last time we came through, we were supporting it,
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool deal because, that's a pretty cool pairing because, obviously Bill's show is named after their classic song, Metal on Metal, and he's been playing that in March of the Crabs, to open a show for 35 years. So it was a cool pairing, but what I did notice, which kind of blew my mind, was like, after we had the largest crowd of the night, wow,
Right.
So one day we'll come through Cleveland with the new Night Demon supporting us,
Right.
and we'll be the old band, But yeah, man, seriously, it's just I don't know, even like just going to the Rock Hall, as big of a joke that is, like it's cool that it's in Cleveland. It's just going there with our friends from out there and just kind of seeing stuff like that. It's like, we walk out of that place going, okay, saw a lot of really cool things from a lot of bands we admire, rock and roll history, our heroes. But we walked out of there feeling like, we got something better than that here. We have something better than, my boots enshrined behind glass next to somebody who doesn't matter, really,
Right.
We have something better than that in Cleveland. We have the heart of people from there, and of the rock and roll people from there.
Sure.
And that's something you can't buy.
No doubt, man. And what's you obviously gave back in a number of ways with this visit. Obviously, the biggest thing is that you recorded your album here, your live record that's going to be out in, I'm going to assume, in the spring or summer.
Yeah.
Listening back to the recordings that you guys did, how did the performance? How does it measure up from other shows that you've played?
It's weird because when you're doing it, you're conscious of it. You're like, okay, I got to play good.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get one shot here. It's not like a lot of bigger bands. They'll do 5 nights at the same mic placement and all this stuff. But stuff happens during the shows. The guitars cut out and just technical difficulties. And the show was great. Listening back was the best part because the sound is huge. And as much as I felt that night, I couldn't really comprehend it because I was so in my own zone of trying to execute, 2 hours
Right.
set of Night Demon, like a retrospect of my career, and basically, going for it too. We weren't standing around. It was the same show. With the, we have a lighting guy come in and stuff. And there's a lot of things, visually that happen during the show that, you can screw up musical parts, but the intent is there, the energy is there. So, we've left a lot of that stuff on the record just because, it's real, and we're not going to go in there and do a total Kiss Alive thing and
Right.
re-record the entire album in the studio. And I get why that happens. Like Unleashed in the East is one of my favorite albums of the time.
Sure.
I get why that happens, and I get what the intent behind that is. But with the kind of band we are at the stage we're at, it's just better. It's better to keep it as real as you can and capture the energy of the show. And like I mentioned before, that we're mixing these Spirit Ungle live albums, which these are the comeback shows, and there's 3 shows involved, and there's like you know, there's thousands of people at these gigs, so it's tough to navigate through that mix. But we're finding that, like, okay, the show in Germany with 3,000 people sounds the best. However, the show in Greece that sounds kind of shitty has like insane amount of energy,
right,
from the audience and the band. So the performance itself is much better, even though it's sloppier and
right,
all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? The vibe is there. So if you can recreate that vibe in the studio and do a fake live album like that, like, I'm all for it, But if you can capture something that's real, I would rather go that, and that seems to do with this.
Right, and I almost think, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I almost think that the days of editing live albums and making them all pristine have been kind of ruined by YouTube, because you can't fake it anymore. I mean, if you say that you recorded your show on whatever date in whatever city, somebody can go out to YouTube and just see it. So it just looks phony now. Where before
right.
in the 80s and whatnot, Dokken could do an album and then re-record over it for 6 months to make sure every note was clean, and nobody could check it. It was just like, wow,
Absolutely.
These guys are kick-ass live. I better go see them. Now you actually
Absolutely.
have to be good live, and that's the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons we didn't allow any taping in the show, because we were just like, look, we want, and look, I'm not a dinosaur, I mean, I embrace technology fully. I'm not even complaining about the music industry. I mean, we're allowed to do this show on the internet. I think that's a great thing,
Sure.
But YouTube definitely has killed a lot of that. It's killed the live industry in general,
Mm-hmm.
So, as a fan, go and see whatever you want, but at the same time, as the artist, I mean, we get videos pulled constantly off YouTube, I mean, and I don't feel bad about that. A lot of people criticize us for that, but it's like, we put out the content that we want our fans to see. We put stuff out that we want to present in our own way, and we put a lot of care and a lot of time into that. There's a vision behind that, so that needs to be respected, And the truth is, we do own our music. We do own the publishing. It's our art, so it's not. I'm totally fine with people downloading the record or listening on Spotify or streaming. That's fine, but we, at the end of the day, we should have the right to say, hey, we don't want that on YouTube. Some guy.
Mm-hmm.
When we played at a festival at like 11:30 in the morning, and I just woken up, or like.
Right.
That's the reality of it. So we are active in that. We do have people at Sony that I can call. For example, last year we played the Frost and Fire Festival, which is our festival here in Ventura, and I specifically said before a song, "Hey, please turn off any audio recorders or video recorders. We're going to play a new song for you guys from an album that's not going to be out for 8 months."
Right.
So we went ahead and did that. The next day, the show is on YouTube, and you can clearly hear me say that before. And I got like Nostradamus emailing me, going like, "Dude, oh my God, stranger in the room, amazing!" Like, so fans are already finding out about it a day later.
Right.
So I had to call somebody at Sony and say, "Get this thing yanked the off YouTube."
Right.
And the guy was all pissed about it.
Well.
But a lot of times our approach, sorry, I'll end this here, but a lot of times our approach is, we'll approach people like that. We're taking this down. You got to take this down. However, give us the footage, like we archive everything, like we will have like a clip them all one day or something like that. It's like, let us do something with this instead of you just kind of throwing it there, So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it should be that way. I mean, in the end, I find it amazingly funny, and I'll be honest to say that I've done it too. Recording. I've never recorded a whole show, but if like a band plays my favorite song or something, a lot of times I'll throw up my cell phone and I'll record it. And you know what? It's not right. It's annoying as a fan. It's annoying when there's 50 phones in front of you and you can't see the stage because you're looking. you almost subliminally end up looking at what somebody else is shooting versus the stage.
I've done the same thing. Yeah.
And it sucks because then you walk out of the show and you think, you know what, the band just wasn't that good tonight, when really they probably were, but you watched it through a 4-inch screen.
Absolutely. And one thing I'm really excited about, I'm going to go see the Misfits in Vegas in a couple weeks. And they're not allowing any phones. And I'm kind of excited about that, to be honest. Like, I guess you had to have been there, and have gone to shows before this kind of technology. But, I mean, to me, it's exciting. I mean, I think people should have the attitude of like, hey, I'm going to a concert. I'm going to disconnect from the world, and I'm going to get my release from all this other bullshit from this show.
Right.
And I'm going to go there. I'm going to be present. I'm going to feel the energy in the room of everybody around me. And I'm going to watch somebody perform, And I think that's the right attitude to go about it. Because, I mean, look, the honest truth is like you got your phone, you're filming the show, and somebody texts you or something. Right. You get some notification in the middle of it. You're already disengaged. And then you end up just looking at your phone and texting somebody or saying, dude, you should be here. It's like, well, they're not there. You're there.
Right. Exactly. Dude,
so that's my 2 cents on it. No, it's just my opinion.
You're 100% correct. And, I mean, I'm 49. So I was going to shows from like 1984 or 83 was the first metal show I ever went to, Twisted Sister and Dokken, and all the way up. And the best show I ever saw in my life was the first gig of the Black Album for Metallica. It was Metallica. It was Day on the Green 91. Metallica.
Oh, okay.
It was Metallica, Queensryche doing Empire as one of the first gigs for the Empire tour. It was Soundgarden doing Bad Motorfinger, and it was Faith No More doing the Angel Dust record. It was those four bands. It was 12 hours, and everybody there was into all 12 hours of the bands. There was no disconnect. There was no nothing like that. It was just intense musical appreciation. And I swear, and I've had this argument with people at the bar, if I saw the same show today, it would not be 1/10 as good because everybody would be dicking around with their phones instead of just getting into it. And I mean, you live out there, so you know how it is out there. It was literally, it was at Oakland Stadium. They fenced off the infield, and the whole rest of the place was a mosh pit. If you tried to do that today, you would have fights breaking out everywhere as somebody got hit and their phone got broken. And
yeah, that's a good point.
And that's just the difference in today is that people are so disconnected from. I argue with my own kids. My son Zach is into metal. And he doesn't have any concept of what I grew up with. To him, he's okay to go to YouTube and watch Judas Priest play a gig, and it's like, no, dude, that's like 1/10 of the experience.
Absolutely, and even at our festival, we don't allow any filming. Like, we've had even professional people have hit us up and said, hey, let's do a DVD of this fest. And it's like, I'm not even a fan of that, really. It's like, if you're not there, you're not there, Like, it's a live concert, and you can't recreate it on anything. And, like, Metallica did the live shit box set, which was great. They put $2.5 million into that project,
right?
Like, they got serious about how they were going to film it and how they wanted to present it. But now you can go to YouTube and see video from the San Diego show that like somebody bootlegged, and it's like, what the hell is this? Like, it's not the same at all, and there's it's like you're watching a completely different thing, So with that, to sum all that up, I mean, basically, I'm always trying to find new, innovative ways to use whatever technology there is, while keeping shit real. So if, one day if I can find a good solution to the cell phone thing where people can still have them and whatever, then I'll come forth with that, but I'm not giving up on it, and I do see both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, you're going to a live concert to disconnect. You
Right.
know? You should be going there to be entertained, you know? And if you have to entertain yourself with your phone or your social media, then, you know, there's some other things going on there.
Yep. Amen, man. Well, dude, speaking
or
of...
the band's not good. You know?
Well, I doubt it. But you know what, man? I'll go back to what I said before. I really don't believe that people understand how good or not good bands are anymore because they're distracted with their phones and with their devices. You know, I mean, I used to walk out of concerts. I'm sure you did too, man. You walk out of a concert and just want to go to sleep. Don't even want to drive home because you're so fucking tired.
Totally.
And
Totally.
I don't see that at all when I come out of shows now. Now I see people like, oh, let's go do something else. And it's like,
exactly.
How can you go through a 2 hours of you guys playing or 2 hours of Overkill playing or Anthrax or whatever? How can you see that and be into it and then want to go do anything else after? The only thing I want to do after is sleep. You know?
Exactly. I used to go home, you know, just not being able to because my ears were ringing so bad. Or you know, I always had this thing where when I used to go to shows when I was young, whether it was like Ozzy or Kiss, like big shows like that, I used to always go home and say, man, like, I wish I tried to remember every moment.
Sure.
You know? Like, oh, what was the set list? But there's only certain things that would always stick out, and I'd be like, man, I wish I could remember more about it because it was so much fun. I got to go see it again.
Right.
You know, when I go home now and try and remember it and look at a clip I filmed on my phone, which I've done too, it's just like, oh man, this sounded a lot better when I was there, you know, or like it felt a lot different while I was there. So now I'm like left with a different feeling, you know,
right.
Like the magic is worn off.
Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you, man. Well, dude, the magic's not going to be worn off in 2018 as you guys are going out on an absolutely killer tour with Accept in Europe. Talk a little bit about how that came to be and, you know, how you guys got the full run of that tour, because that's really cool to get direct support on that.
Yeah, honestly, that was a Bill Peters thing.
Okay.
Man. That was a Bill Peters thing. He got those guys turned on to us a while ago. So when talks started happening, they were doing some U.S. dates. We weren't available. And then kind of said, well, dude, things are really cooking for these guys in Europe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I think it was Iced Earth had been the support act or the co-headline or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And we had gotten offered the first slot through the European agency. And it was basically like, look, we want you guys to share a bus with Iced Earth. And we were like, okay, we're in. What's the offer? And it was like, it's only going to cost you like $25,000. we're like, what? Yeah, because you know the cost of the bus and stuff.
Right.
So at that point, we said, look, we own a van in Europe. We own Backline. We have a full crew. We prefer to work rogue. You know, like just tell us when to be there, and we'll be there every day. You know, and they're like, oh, that's not going to work. We need, you know, the other band needs money for the bus.
Right.
You know, so at that point we declined the tour. Like we're not going to pay to play. I mean, we're just we've earned that, you know.
Sure.
So we ended up playing at the Rock Hard Festival in Germany, and the agency who books Accept and those bands, they are the organizers of that festival. It draws about 10 or 11,000 people per year. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, we had the first slot of the day on the Sunday, and we went out there and just like annihilated the place. And like, you know, we had people who were like, they couldn't get in the gates on time. Like they didn't realize kind of what was happening with Night Demon in Germany.
Sure.
So they're like, okay, well, we got to rethink this, you know? So they kind of went back to the drawing board and ended up that Iced Earth wanted to do something else. So now it's just the two bands, it's Night Demon and Accept, and they're paying us well. And, now we're represented by their agency.
Oh, that's great.
Like, you know, so we're like in our own little family now. And like, you know, I mean, and that's just the thing, you know, that's just, and I'm not trying to slag them at all, but that's the reality of the business, you know, and you have to do business and you have to put personal things aside. And sometimes what may seem like a great idea, you know, turns out to be a lot a lot more things happening logistically, and a lot of things that may not be worth it. You know, I mean, if I had the money, I would pay to be on a tour like that. It's worth the exposure. However, you know, like I said, they want us for a reason. We've earned our keep there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be bringing a lot of people to these shows, you know. I mean, a lot of the underground fans, you know, like especially the younger kids out there, I mean, they have different ideas about stuff, you know, like Accept is like a once great band that's like, oh, they're dad rock now, or you know what I'm saying? Or they've lost their edge or whatever. And the truth is they haven't, you know.
Right.
So I'm pleased to be able to bring those fans to this show because they're going to come see Night Demon anyway, and if they get a chance to see Accept on the same bill, like, why not, you know?
Sure.
So they're going to come see how good these guys are live and just have a whole new idea. People are going to be leaving these shows just going, I just saw the best 1-2 punch I've seen in a long time.
Sure.
And that was worth my money, you know? And that's, you know, it's our goal to go out there and push them too, you know?
Right.
Like, we really want to put on a spectacle, and we want, you know, friendly competition, of course, you know, but we want to make those guys work harder. I mean, if that's even possible, you know, I mean, they're the tightest band around. They're like, it's like German efficiency, you know, they're like a machine,
sure.
You know? So, it's a great honor for us. It's the biggest thing we've had the opportunity to do in Europe. So, we're ready, you know, we're ready for the challenge, and that's the best feeling that we have. We know that we're ready to do it.
Right. And the one thing that, you know, is cool, and from the sound of it, doesn't sound like they had as much input into this as the management did, but it's always cool, at least these days, because it almost never happens, to see a bigger established band take out the next wave. And it just doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't. You look at Megadeth will be taking out whoever's the flavor of the month, and Metallica obviously takes out everybody but metal bands anymore. And
I think it's purely a business thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, like, and look, it's like I manage bands. I own a booking agency in London, a small one. You know, like I put on a festival. You know, I'm very active on the business side of the music industry, and like a lot of my relationships are important, and they depend on how things happen. So you're just dealing with bands that have guys that are in different circles, you know, in a much higher caliber. You know, their relationships, Metallica's people have relationships with like the Linkin Park people, stuff like this, you know, like the biggest selling artists in rock, you know? So that's the thing, you know? But I agree with you, you know, I've called out bands in interviews before, you know, and just said, hey, like, wait a minute here. Like, there's, all you got to do is go on Google and like discover like, hey, there's something happening here in the world, you know? Like, there's tons of tours, there's tons of festivals, there's a big underground scene. Like, the next wave is here. They just need to be exposed to the masses. And it's almost a disservice to the fans of the bigger bands, you know, like if I'm a fan of Judas Priest, I want to go see Judas Priest. I don't want to see Five Finger Death Punch or Steel Panther. Like, I get a combination of having a strong support act that sells tickets and is popular and sells records and brings people in. I get that, but when you're at that stage in your career and you're already at the top, you're the best. You're always gonna be a headliner. Nobody's ever gonna open for you. It doesn't matter who you like. Metallica's going to sell 70,000 tickets a night no matter what.
Sure.
No matter, you know, if they're opening for Taylor Swift, you know, at one of these benefits, or, you know, they're just that powerful. They're going to do that. So why not take out even an old school band, like take out Overkill, you know, or take out Exodus or whatever, you know, but I mean, but the younger bands, you know, take out Enforcer or something, you know, it's like the fans will be like, oh my God, you know, because we've done it on such a smaller level. So like our first tour was with Raven in the U.S. We did 54 shows, but that tour broke us in the States in the metal market because like older fans were going, man, I haven't seen Raven in 15, 20 years. They would go and see us and go, I had no idea at all that there was younger bands doing this. I had no idea. Like I dragged my kids to this thing to see this something that I was into years ago, you know?
Right.
So it helped expose us. Now think about how that could be on a higher level. People want to go see Priest because they love Judas Priest. So if you put the next Priest in front of Priest, the fans are gonna go apeshit over it.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, it is, and you hit it on the head. It is a disservice to the fans. I mean, what would it hurt Metallica to take Havoc out? It wouldn't hurt them at all.
Right.
You know, and at the same time, you would probably...
Megadeth did it.
Yeah, and you would probably turn... If Metallica did it, you probably turn Havoc into the next biggest... the next Anthrax or something. And
I would think so. Honestly, I would think so. I mean, the Megadeth thing really helped them. You know? And, you know, they've got another tour coming up. That's going to be good. So I think they are touring with Anthrax.
Okay.
I think that Killswitch Anthrax thing, they may be on that. But I mean, you're totally right about that. They're doing it for bands like Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like this. They've done it for that. I mean, that band's toured with them multiple times. And in the formative years, you know, they were getting a lot of press and stuff. But that's not real metal. You know? Mm-hmm. Like that's not what the fans got into you for. Even in Middle America, like that's not what like the good old boys who like to just go and beat people up at Metallica shows. Like they're not into that, you know. So
and won't go. I mean, I can tell you as an absolute fact, for me as a fan, I have skipped several Iron Maiden shows specifically because they were feeding me Bullet for My Valentine or something. I know I skipped the Bullet for My Valentine Iron Maiden show because
like Shine, they just took Shinedown out. But again. I think that's, you know, I mean, Rod Smallwood's in a place right now where he's, I mean, at the top of the world. And so the people he associates with are not me putting on the Frost and Fire Festival. It's Shinedown's management who's like also has investments and assets and all these, you know, I mean, we have that too, but on a much smaller level, you know, but I'm just saying, I think the reality of it, you know, and they're basically like, look, we don't need to we're not here to break any bands, you know? Like we're here to do our thing. And like, you know, maybe, who knows, man, maybe they're just tired of the whole classic metal thing of who they are. I don't know. They've been doing it since they were little kids, you know, maybe they just these bands want to see themselves as just mainstream commercial bands. I don't know. And that's fine.
No.
But I just don't know, because I know if I was in that position, I mean, shit, I'm not even in that position, and I still take bands out that I'm like, people need to see this band.
Sure.
You know, or this band's hungry, this band's going for it, they're going to do it like the way we do it. Well, nobody does it the way we do it, but they would be fucking insane if they did. But I'm just saying, you know, people that really have, like, you know, we come across a lot of bands that are really their heads in the right place, and they're ready to go out there and give it a shot, you know, and those are the bands that need to be rewarded these kinds of things, you know. So, you know, and like just the Volbeat thing, I don't get it, you know. I mean, like stuff like that, I just don't get how that fits, you know. But if the guys from those bands like him, who am I to say, you know? I mean, it's their show.
Right. No,
but I still love these bands. You know, you got to understand. I love these bands.
Sure. Oh, of course.
And we actually had a shot at the Priest U.S. tour.
Okay.
This one that's coming up.
Right.
And, you know, at first it was like, okay, well, we're looking for a strong support. And that became Saxon. I thought, oh, man, this is going to be killer. You know, like that was a good choice. I'm like, okay, finally, Priest takes out Saxon. Great. Like, that's great for the fans. I don't care that we didn't get it. You know, I'm glad that they got it, you know. And then it became a thing, well, okay, well, we're going to add a third act. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, like, if we ended up getting that, like, that's just kill me now, right?
Right.
But, you know, they got back to me and you know, right before the announcement said, hey, we're going to go with Black Star Riders, you know. And, you know, I mean, I get that. I mean, again, like, I can't hate on that tour. You know what I mean? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. You know.
Right.
So, but again, you know, there's relationships there. Scott Travis played with Thin Lizzy last year. You know, like he's probably buddies with those guys, and like that's just how the world works. You know, that's how business works.
Sure. And they actually took out Thin Lizzy the reborn Thin Lizzy was on the last, or two Priest tours ago. It was Thin Lizzy and Zach and Priest. So they've all worked together before. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I get that. And these guys can do whatever they want, and if they want to tour with the people they like, I mean, God bless them. I would want to do the same thing, to be honest.
Sure.
But hopefully, I might even win some contest someday to play with one of these guys or something. Hope you know what I'm saying? Like, we're looking for the garage band that like we're looking for the next. So something like that. Who knows? I mean, it's a career and life can be long, and I'm grateful for all the things that we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. And we definitely have a plan of what we're doing for the next 4 or 5 years. So, we're just going to stick to what we do. And when these other opportunities come up, then we'll assess them then. But I mean, hopefully it just, sometimes, with the Accept thing, it became an undeniable thing where like they have so much to gain by having us with them and vice versa.
Right.
So that's the kind of, that's when I want to be in those situations, with a band that I admire. I want to be able to go and offer them something versus having us just be a charity case to them as well. So, I get how the whole scene works, but we both have good points in the fact of like, I think as just the godfathers of heavy metal, it would benefit them to educate themselves on the progressiveness of the scene.
Right.
No, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I totally agree with that.
Want to know. In my later years, I'm going to want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and to be honest, while I do like Volbeat, I certainly understand your point. Though they don't fit with every tour that they go on. They fit more out. They would fit better out with Seven Dust than Metallica, or they
absolutely.
It doesn't.
And I love Seven Dust.
I do too.
That's like the only new metal band I like, but I love that band.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. So,
yep.
And I'm all about mixed bills. But there's a certain that's got to make sense.
Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you, man. I'm totally with you on that, man. Well, dude, obviously busy 2018 for you guys. You have the live record coming out. You have the Accept tour. I'm going to assume at some point you're going to sneak into a studio and start working on an actual studio record.
Yeah, I don't know. Our touring cycles are pretty long. They're 2 years. The reason for that is, to kind of avoid a black album situation, I guess. Like a lot of bands. A lot of younger bands, they'll put out a record a year or whatever, but it's like, we're still being discovered. There's still, every time we play, there's somebody that didn't know who we were.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think we're making really good material right now, and to date, I don't think we've had any slip-ups, so the consistency is there, the quality is there over the quantity, and, we do 2 world tours on every album cycle just to be, I mean, we really just want the stuff ingrained in the fan, so they can like live the record long enough while it's out and not have to revisit it later, or we get, who knows, okay, we tour with a Priest, we get fully discovered on our 5th album or whatever, it's like we don't want that to happen. We think that the meat of the band is happening right now. Like
sure.
We're making the best music that we're going to make right now, I know that's kind of like a limiting belief there, but I mean, that's just the truth. Like the first 4 records of a band are usually pretty much all you're going to want,
Right.
so and really just like that expanded edition of Darkness coming out in January. It's like, we're not going to wait 20 years to unearth all this stuff. It's like, we're in the cycle now. Let's enjoy it now.
Sure.
Now, we have like 4 more videos coming out in the next year. We're doing that tour with Accept. We're doing a full U.S. headliner in the spring. We're going to Europe in May for some festivals. We're doing Wacken. There's talk about a pretty good support tour for us near the end of the year. So, I mean, I say near the end of the year we'll start getting in and doing that. But stuff happens on the road, So I'm always writing. So there's stuff, but the Darkness Remains touring cycle is about a third of the way through only, and there's a lot of other big things that happen with it, and we're really just gonna nurture the album and give it its place in time and history, just like we did with the last record, you know?
Yep.
So, I mean, again, the fans always want it more and they want it quick, and I get that. I do sometimes too, but every time it comes around, this seems to work really well, and we're able to put the time effort that we need to. Good.
Right. No doubt, man. Well, dude, for now then, I guess for the next while, people can keep listening to Darkness Remains. It is out there everywhere now. Anywhere that you consume music, you can get it. Jarvis, what am I missing that you want people to know, and where can they go to find out about the band and tours and all that stuff?
Yeah, nightdemon.net is the site. All the social media is on there and stuff. All the tour dates are up. We just announced Frost and Fire London today. We've expanded the festival to Europe.
Cool.
So that's going to be cool. That's happening in May. What else? I think that's it. The Darkness Remains expanded edition comes out on January 12th. It's a import from Germany, but we are distributing them in the States ourselves through our indie merch site, which you can find at nightdemon.net. So that's cool. And, the wheels keep turning, man, and you just keep going. We're just living the lifestyle.
Nice.
That's it, It's not everything that's happened has been great. Everything that's going to happen today is great. With whatever setbacks happen, we just find a way to keep pushing through and just doing what we love to do and doing it for the people that love hearing it. So all is good. And hopefully we end up in one of your books one of these days.
Well, hopefully not, because most of the books that I'm writing are about albums that sucked. So
That's true. But I heard that you wrote a book about the karate.
I did,
crew.
yeah.
That album's actually really good.
I know, I love it. I'll email you over the digital version of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Okay.
Or if you want, I'll give you the audio book of it, whichever you'd like.
Yeah. Oh, man, I would love that. Yeah, that'd be great, man. That's cool. I didn't know you were expanding that far. That's pretty good, man. That's smart. That makes it accessible for a lot of people. So,
yeah.
Well, works. Yeah. Okay. Then in that case, I hope we don't end up as one of your books. But I got some other. You do one on the Elder, man.
The Elder.
Yes.
I know. I just don't know that I could listen to it to write about it.
Oh my God!
I hate it. I hate it. No, I would. But to be honest, if I was going to write about a bad, that would probably be the one, because it did split the fan base. But if I was going to write about a bad Kiss record, I would probably start with Crazy Nights, because that's just unlistenable to me.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Well, dude, you know the drill on the show, man. We always let the artist pick a closing track from their latest release. Maybe tell us a story about it. So, what would you like to play to end this one? Yeah, let's go with the title track and make it not as least metal as possible. Darkness Remains. I guess this is Night Demon's first attempt at a ballad. Somewhat, it's kind of like a old school 70s Scorpions-esque, I guess, kind of style ballad, but anyway, it was just a kind of a departure for us, and I think it closes out the record well, and that's one reason why we left the bonus tracks off the album, because we really sequence the album and we write it in a way where it's like this journey from beginning to end. So this kind of winds down the listener from the record, but it's a pretty cool song, and we have some visuals, some video coming out for it later. And it's part of a 3-part story on the album, really. So that's it. Darkness Remains. We went for it, and it is what it is. All right. Well, let's check it out right now. It's brand new Night Demon. Not really brand new, but it is Night Demon right here on your Classic Metal Show.